You're listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
The Extraordinary Phenomenon Investigations Council presents Epic Voyages. Come join us as we enter and experience the great mysteries of the world with tonight's host,
Alan B. Smith.
Good evening to you all around this paranormal campfire. This is Epic Voyages Radio live on the IRN and rebroadcast Fridays on Dark Matter Radio Network at 8 p.m. I am glad to be back. Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have some coffee or tea, whatever keeps you going, because this is going to be an awesome night. So I hope you're feeling pretty freaking epic. Tonight, I just want to jump right into our future guest, Tina Darby from AlienAxioms.com is joining us, as well as Cory Adams from AlienAxioms.com. But before we get to those guys, in a few minutes, about 15-20 minutes or so, we'll have Rey Hernandez of F.R.E.E, the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, who promises to offer some groundbreaking research revelations. But before we jump into the alien encounter enigma with Rey, Cory and Tina, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody?
Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on, guys. So I came across their website, AlienAxioms.com, via Instagram, and they really have the best kick-butt posts out of anyone on Instagram that I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're damn right, dude.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
See what I'm saying? Savvy, they're edgy, they're confident, and they're cool. So tonight I just wanted to talk a little bit more about them. AlienAxioms.com, where did this idea come from, guys?
In a dream? Well, actually, no, really. It's just, I've always wanted to start a site like this. I just haven't had the time. So now that I've had the time, I've actually put most of my time into building the site because there's a lot of things that I've researched and know that I would like to spread to other people and spread the word about, and I think this is the best way to do it.
Well,
and
what's the focus of the website and your mission?
My mission, I'm not sure about that exactly. It's hard to say, but I think what we post on Alien Axioms is stuff that more people need to know and read about. So I'm doing my best to get this information out there. And
it's kind of like an informative way to wake people up about what's going on around them and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it interactive and more social, to pertain to people's interests nowadays. So that's why the site's quite interactive. And most sites out there in ufology are really terrible. And
yep,
I hate to say that, but they're pretty awful. So I'm always under the impression that if I want to do something right, or if something needs to be done right, then it needs to be done by me. So, I figured that, I'd show them how it's supposed to be done.
Well, yeah, I mean, even just looking at the interface of your website, it's just so clean. It's easy on the eyes, and I can get to whatever it is that I may be looking for really fast. Whereas so many of the other ufology sites, you go there, and there's just a splattering of posts and links and flashing advertisements and so many things, and it's just it's unappealing. But you guys. It's like a flower opening, and you open it.
It's got an aesthetic to it.
Letted me in, yeah.
Well, I've been designing websites since I was probably 14 or 15 years old. I'm 30 years old now.
Okay.
So it's something that, I'm skilled in. So, I think that everything needs to be very appealing graphics-wise, and I hope the site actually achieves that. It seems like it is.
Yeah.
So it makes it easy for people to stick to it. And unlike the other sites where you load it up and it's just like a mess, like a cesspool of text and GIF images moving all over the place.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make something more sophisticated and something that people can actually take seriously.
Yeah, it's kind of like going from more of a one man's dark clouded manifesto and like a seedy room to more of a community style feeling where people can come and interact with it and get information from that and feel like they're part of something instead of just viewing something that somebody else has done.
Right.
Exactly.
I think you guys bring something personal to it as well. You have, your own personal stamp. You're not, exactly neutral in some of the comments and points of view that you have.
Some people can't. Yeah, some people can't handle that exactly. I get a lot of bad comments on the way we talk and how we do things, but for the most part, it has been positive. I guess because it's just something so different than what they're used to.
Yeah, and for anybody listening to us right now on Inception Radio Network, I posted in the chat room a link to AlienAxioms.com, so you can go and check those guys out right away. So, guys, there's a couple stories that that I know, Tina, you thought were particularly important.
Yes.
Can we talk about the Planet X Nibiru?
Yeah, I was going to talk about Planet X, and Cory actually wanted to talk about the UFO crash in Canada, so we were going to split that up.
Okay, so
that's cool.
what's going on there? Because from what I understand from the website, that there's some developments.
Which one?
The Planet Nibiru coming in. Yes.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest stories going on right now, so that's why there's a lot of posts on Nibiru and the Anunnaki on AlienAxioms.
Yeah.
And there's not too much information that I can give, but I can say that I do have connections to the government, especially people that work at the test sites out in Nevada and nearby. And what I've heard from them is the government is preparing for the Nibiru cataclysm, which happens every 3,600 years. Mm-hmm. It's never the same outcome, but it's always usually pretty bad. There's always flooding. There's always earthquakes. The coastlines change. And they did tell me that's the main reason why they're building the underground tunnels. They're going to go underground and kind of hide and wait for all this to play out. So what I've heard is that Nibiru should be getting its closest to us around the end of the summertime.
Okay.
But before, anything bad happens because of Nibiru, the government is planning to start something that coordinates with it. I think they're going to take advantage of the chaos in the situation. So I've been told that, they do plan on implementing martial law and that they are planning to strike. I don't want to say too much information on that because my life could be at risk. Just because, they know that I've been talking about this stuff and I have been followed for like the last month or so. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but they are preparing. Yeah. They are preparing for something bad, and something bad is going to happen because of Nibiru's passing. The government's just going to amplify it, making it much worse. So what I'd like to tell people is to really get online and do as much research as you can on this subject. Research Nibiru, research the cataclysm, research the ancient texts that pretty much told us everything that happened back then when Nibiru came around. And I just want people to get ready for, martial law, a bad situation to where they're going to have to fight for survival, because things are going to be a lot different then than they are now.
Well, there's actually some mainstream scientific data to back this up. I mean, NASA in particular is not shy about, perturbations on some of the planets in our solar system, and that something maybe in the Kuiper belt out there is actually causing this, right?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of strange things happening with the sun, with the moon, with the gravitation of other planets, and it's starting to become pretty obvious that something major is coming this way. Mm-hmm. And what I've been told is they're going to try to hide it for as long as they can, of course. I mean, they've been hiding the existence of Nibiru for, the last few thousand years. So nobody, if they're not into the subject already, they're not going to know what's coming until it actually does. So I'm trying my best to warn people, to take this seriously.
Okay.
And it's something that people really need to research and prepare for, because there really isn't much time before this happens.
Well, I mean, where can they go to actually get prepared for this? I mean, how do they know what to get prepared for?
That's the hard part. I wish I could say more on that, but if you read what other civilizations have gone through in the past, it's pretty much the same thing of what we're going to go through geologically. As far as the government, just research martial law, research how they implement that and how that all goes. If the government wants to start a war, there's not much I can exactly say about that and warn people about that. But
okay, and what's the timeline then for that?
The timeline, something with the government could start at any moment, to be obvious. I couldn't tell you a timeline on that. Anything they do would happen before Nibiru is easily spotted in the sky, which will happen probably around late June or so. Once it's easily spottable in the sky, I mean, how can you hide that? Yeah. So they, as they always do, they want to form some sort of distraction. And that's what we were being told about. That's, we've been hearing about them possibly dropping bombs on cities. Mm-hmm. In order to implement martial law to get people to FEMA camps. So it's a long thing. I write a lot about it on the site. It would take way more than, 10, 15 minutes to talk about it. It's a very serious issue.
Well, thanks, Tina, for sharing that with us. I just want to get to Cory so we can make sure that we cover the UFO crash in Canada. I'm sure a lot of the IRN listeners out there are familiar with this story. But Cory, can you unravel this for us?
Well, it's kind of coming out to be more like a Canadian Roswell, it seems like nowadays.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And, there's lots of course, they did try to do the classic cover-up of making it seem like it's some kind of like military operation, military experiment, a military involved scheme or whatever. But
yeah, on a lake covered in ice, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was like I think there was a good little picture. It went viral of somebody posted on Facebook that was taken off about. It was more like almost like kind of like a miniature looking pyramid type, like conical shape UFO. But it's interesting in today's world because we're so social media based and things like that all it takes is for somebody. I mean, they can take off pictures that people can post of eyewitness views and whatnot. But all it takes is somebody to screenshot that on their mobile phone, and then they've got that evidence right there. And so, like, these kind of things are leaking out, even though they've tried to cover it up or whatever. And
was there any circumstantial evidence at all besides the photo that would lead to,
One thing that I've heard is there were people on the scene that got there before the military did, and they actually took pictures nearby, and they've been jailed. They've had their stuff confiscated. So pretty much
they've been visited.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
We're talking like MIB visited or something else?
Well, it might, I don't want to say for
military,
sure.
Yeah,
military. But yeah, something of this scale doesn't seem like it's so big that the MIB would like show up on this, especially if it's like kind of blatantly been, like, I want to say blatantly exposed on social media, but a lot of people have heard about it very quickly. And so I don't think that they would come into a situation like this. It would be more like a military type thing where they would just come in and give them false trespassing accusations or something like that.
Yeah. Now, the Men in Black usually stick to just UFO witnesses, singular pretty much, somebody that may have seen a UFO shoot across the sky and reported it. They usually like to threaten those people. They usually don't go after large groups like this would be.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there was an eyewitness or something that he was. I can't remember exactly what it was. I wish I had it pulled up, but he had messaged or contacted somebody and had said that they had witnessed something. He couldn't remember what the name of the camp was because it was such a long title and hard to pronounce. But he was there, had eyewitnessed something going down into the lake.
Yeah, I think there's a video that somebody recorded of the same UFO a week earlier in the same spot. And it's a very nice, clear video. I think it's on AlienAxioms.com. But a lot of people have seen this UFO in the area before the crash, and then a week later it crashes. And I think it crashed, February 23rd, 22nd?
It was somewhere between February 18th and February 20th. Or 21st, something like that. I can't remember the exact date right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, I remember on my Twitter, I have a column that shows me every single post from Twitter that has the word UFO. And I noticed as soon as this happened, somebody posted a photo, and then all of a sudden it's just scrolling and scrolling, like this spread like wildfire. And everybody can tell that it's not a hoax and it's not some military exercise. And it's quite obvious what it is. So that's why people like to refer to it as, the Canadian Roswell. Because it's so obvious that it's it's kind of stupid, the excuses that they're giving, and it's silly. So
it's so exciting in the sense that we have this technology that we have now, cell phones and pocket-sized cameras, etc. Because Roswell, that didn't exist. So if this is a Canadian Roswell, quote unquote, then I think the military is going to have to learn how to readapt to any sort of situation like this in the future, because obviously you can't contain it, not in the same way at least.
Yeah. The problem, I laugh at this and I try not to be rude, but when people take these photos and these videos, please don't go to the cops or the military first. Please just post it online immediately and spread it. So many people go to the cops and they end up in jail. They end up getting their stuff confiscated. And that's a main problem why we don't have a lot of good evidence. So
I think that's a good point. I mean, this is something that clearly, if you feel like it's something other people need to know and other people should know, then share it immediately. I think that's really great advice.
Exactly. And it happens with every major case, and it's just frustrating because you hear all these stories about these people that had great photos and videos and how they got confiscated and we'll never see them. And, so please, people, stop going to the cops. They're not your friends. The military's not your friends, and it's only going to be trouble. So do what's right. Put them on the internet like as fast as possible, and then we can actually get somewhere. That's all I have to say about that. That's always been a problem.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys, because I really love these two stories that you picked out because they're recent and they're fresh and they're possibly impending doom, depending on how things play out. But
it's kind of depressing, isn't it? Impending doom. I hate being the bearer of bad news, but I definitely think it's going to happen. So I'm just trying my best to get people to research it and come to their own conclusions, and hopefully, I can save some people. I want people to be prepared for anything, basically. A lot of people think that nothing bad could ever happen and that our way of life could never change. So it's kind of sad that something like this could happen and people they'll think you're crazy and they'll just sit in their home oblivious.
And be blindsided.
They're going to get the worst of it. So I'm just trying to tell people not to be like that. That's all.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is the tip of the iceberg for the Canada UFO crash, really. Just because since it happened, there's been constant development of some sort. And eyewitness accounts, oftentimes you have eyewitnesses that it takes sometimes years for them to come out. So who knows what someone saw or what picture someone take, and they just have not released it yet.
And that's what makes it so interesting, is that people can come so quickly and so like virally come out and say things about this, and like it can spread so fast. And so like the information, like there could be, like you said, people out there who have information that just haven't said anything because maybe they've heard somebody got jailed or just don't believe it themselves or whatever. But it's just really curious.
The fear is strong in these people.
Yeah, but of course, the skeptic in me always says that, maybe that this UFO crash was put out there by the government, and then social media spread it for them so they could wean us into the idea of UFOs. But, you never know.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that theory, and I've definitely looked into it, and I've considered it, but I don't know.
I don't know. I like to hold them in my hands and look at it, but I don't really like to, I like to just kind of view it all at the same time.
Yeah, take it in, and see how it plays out. But I don't know. It just seems really complex for the government to design such a conspiracy. I mean, to get people to believe in UFOs, and then they're not true. I mean, I understand
and now
the
we
idea
into
that
it. It's craziness.
You want people to think aliens are the UFOs, and the government doesn't have the UFOs. I get that. It's part of keeping top secret technology covered up. But So Cory, I just wanted to ask you, and Tina, who does most of like the social media, Instagram, all that jazz?
We actually split that up. I handle the Twitter. Cory handles the Instagram, and Angela, I know you're listening, she handles the Facebook. And of course, we all post to the website. So we split that up. I don't think any one of us could handle all that at once. It gets a little crazy.
Definitely.
So
but
everybody,
how we'll do it is like I'll take something that would be tweeted, for like instance, little factoids or little like things that Tina has posted on Twitter, and then I'll take on Instagram and I'll splice together the logo, and I'll try to make a different post for every little factoid, and I'll try to keep those ideas together, because she'll post like multiple ones, and I'll take like multiple Anunnaki ones and make a little series out of it, and then in between that I'll post little cool pictures or just things that make people think about stuff, just to kind of keep the community going.
Those images are cool, man. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, this is the perfect guy for Instagram. So you've been doing a good job, dude. I have to say.
Yeah, you guys are a really great team, honestly. I love everything that you put up there, and everybody listening, if you get a chance, check out AlienAxioms.com. Anything you need to know about the alien encounter, enigma, conspiracy theories, etc. These guys have got it, and they are on top of the latest news. Tina, Cory, thank you so much for coming on. I just want to let everybody know that April 6th, they will be joining me again for a full show, and we'll have a slew of really fascinating stories to cover at that time. So, guys,
thank you for having us on.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
All right. Good night, guys. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. So next up, we've got Rey Hernandez from F.R.E.E., the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, who promises to offer some groundbreaking research revelations. But what is the alien encounter? Is it ghosts? Is it spirits? Is it psychic phenomena? Is it a holographic image that's coming through the zero-point field? Rey is definitely here to help us understand all that. So quickly about Rey, before I bring him on. Rey Hernandez is an experiencer. Experiencer is a name to describe people who have ET encounters, paranormal encounters. And he's currently employed as an estate tax attorney with the IRS, U.S. Department of Treasury. He was previously the director of the Center for a Sustainable Urban Environment at the City University of New York, my hometown, and the director of the Office of Community Environmental Planning for the City of New York. He has attended Rutgers College, Cornell University, and was a Ph.D. candidate at UC Berkeley in City and Regional Planning. And he was also the recipient of a National Science Foundation Ph.D. fellowship. Rey, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Rey, welcome, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about this. The research that F.R.E.E. has done, it looks really compelling.
Well, that's just one out of 11 programs that we're undertaking.
Right. So can you just break down for us what the prime directive of F.R.E.E. is?
Okay. First of all, let me inform you who are the actual founders of F.R.E.E.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Dr. Edgar Mitchell?
Of course, astronaut, sure.
Okay, he was one of the original co-founders of F.R.E.E. This other individual, you might not have heard of him, Dr. Rudy Shields. He's an emeritus professor of astrophysics at Harvard University. He's 74 years old, and he is the world's leading expert on black holes, and also is a theoretical physicist working on unification theory of physics, as well as the physics of consciousness. So those were two of our co-founders. The other co-founders are Mary Rodwell, I don't know if you've heard of her before, but she's pretty much in Europe. If you put together Kathleen Martin, Linda Moulton Howe, and Barbara Lamb, that's what you get. You get Mary Rodwell. That's how famous she is in Europe. Most of her tours and presentations are made in Europe, so that's why she's not as known here in the United States and in Canada. And then we have two additional experiencers, myself and Christina Knowles. So the five of us jointly formed F.R.E.E., which stands for the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. And I just want to tell the audience members that F.R.E.E. is a non-for-profit scientific research foundation established by experiencers for experiencers, and we have associated with F.R.E.E. on our advisory board numerous academics, numerous PhDs, scientists, medical doctors, PhD physicists, PhD psychologists, et cetera, as well as various researchers of the ET contact phenomenon. So this is not just your standard organization that's trying to do some work here. This is very reputable people. Everyone, except for two individuals, are experiencers.
Well, you really do have a lot of reputable people, that's for sure. But if you were to compare F.R.E.E. with another organization, what points would you make to say that, not besides the people that are involved in the research, the members, but the research itself, what is it that distinguishes it from other research?
Well, we are a scientific research foundation. That's number one. How many other organizations are out there doing scientific research? Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, we are supporting individuals. The last 4 months, we have supported 128 experiencers of ET contact through a program called the Experiencer Buddy Program, where individuals send us an email stating us that they need someone to talk to. And usually these are individuals, roughly 1/3 are individuals that have never spoken with anyone except their spouse about their ET contact experiences. So these are people that have gone, a good majority of their lives without speaking with anyone. And we hook them up with a mature individual that's had many years of ET contact, usually someone who's not, almost always someone that's not traumatized, someone who's been there and done that can basically be a supportive ear to hear them out and to assist them. And then the other part is education. We have a website that we have numerous articles which you cannot see anywhere on the internet in compendium. For example, we have 16 articles on the physics of ET contact and the physics of consciousness. Most of these articles are written for the layperson to understand. I would say half of them are written by PhD academic physicists. The others are PhD biologist, PhD philosopher, different academic arenas, and some of them are individuals that have written overviews of the works of other PhD physicists in order to enable the audience member to be able to understand them. And then the approach that we're taking at F.R.E.E. is that what we're doing is we're focusing on all aspects of ET contact. Now, ET we're defining as non-human intelligent beings. Okay, we're not saying interdimensional, extra-dimensional, whatever you can make up. It's just non-human intelligent beings, and we're focusing for the time being any type of contact associated with UFO, ET contact.
Okay, so you say that that there's intelligent beings, but let's say somebody comes and fills out the survey. Is there a question for them to be specific if they think it was interdimensional or ET, etc.?
Okay, well, let me address that question by filling in the background of what one of our projects is called the F.R.E.E. Experiencer Research Study. This study is the first comprehensive, long-term, academic statistical study on the ET contact phenomenon. Mm-hmm. The chair of this research study is Dr. John Klimo. Dr. John Klimos, just recently retired, tenured professor, has taught over 40 years. He was first a tenured professor at Rutgers College, and then he transferred over to the American School of Psychology, where he taught research methodology for over 40 years, and he's chaired over 250 PhD dissertations. He can be called the world's #1 academic on the paranormal. His most famous book was an academic book titled Channeling. That book has been translated into 18 languages. So he's the chair of our committee. And we also have Dr. Leo Sprinkle, yet another retired academic who was the first academic to actually study experiencers. He first began doing statistical studies on experiencers, anyone that's had any type of ET contact, back in 1962. And then the other members that are supportive members are literally a who's who in this field. We've had Kathleen Martin, and some of your audience members might know who she is. She's written 4 books, I think 2 of them with Stan Friedman. She's one of the most well-known ufologists that are out there. She's worked with abductees, contactees, experiencers for many, many years. We also have Mary Rodwell, who's been working with the same cohort for approximately 30 years. We have Barbara Lamb. I think she's been in this field about 35 years. The list goes on and on and on and on. We literally have a who's who of the cream of the crop of people that have been researching and working with experiencers. Most of the individuals in this research study committee, at least 25 years with experiencers.
Well, the online survey that you have, who has worked together to build that survey? Was it the entire committee, or?
We have a subcommittee called the Research Subcommittee. Okay. Those individuals that I mentioned are members of the Research Subcommittee. We also have Dr. Michael Melton, who's a PhD psychologist, and he has been providing support for experiencers through a group called Starborn Support. We also have Denise Stoner, who, together with Kathleen, did a small research study on experiencers and published a book out of it called Alien Abduction Files. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go through all the list of names because I'm going to be missing some individuals, but pretty much we've been working for 18 months to develop this study. This research study has 3 components. Okay, the first component is phase 1, which is approximately 100 questions, statistical questions that are quantitative in nature, true or false type of responses that can be done in 15 to 20 minutes. And that's in our website. Let me give our website. Our website is experiencer.co. That's EXPERIENCER.co. And that's
I just put that in the chat room for everybody, experiencer.co, if you want to go check out their website.
Yeah. And the first phase is on our upper left-hand side. It'll have a little box that'll say, "Are you an experiencer?" And then it says, "Please take our survey." So as of now, we have had 854 individuals that have responded to our phase 1 survey. Our phase 2 survey is going to be launched in a week. That has 500 questions, quantitative
500 questions. Yeah, 500 questions. That's a lot. I mean, so it seems to me that if someone is willing to go through that entire survey, then they must be pretty serious, pretty adamant about the validity of their experience, right?
Most definitely. We've had a response rate of 97% have checked off the box, do you want to continue with our survey, with the understanding that it might take at least an hour to respond. Mm-hmm. 90% of the people checked off. Why did they check off? Because we have almost no academic study on experiencers. Very little has been known about this. Okay, and that's why people want to go forward with this study, because they know that experiencers are coordinating this. They know the people involved are reputable people, and they know that it's 2 academic professors that are leading the research methodology for this undertaking. So phase 2 is 500 questions. You could take several sittings to do it. You could leave it 1/3 of the way, then come back the next day or a week later and still continue where you left it off. Phase 3 is actual one-on-one interviews. And we have all of the members of our group, our research study group, that are going to be conducting the interviews. And these will be one-on-one interviews, and we'll be asking open-ended questions.
And I'm sorry if I missed it. The one-on-one interviews, are these with the same people that actually filled out the survey?
Correct. Correct. They will be leaving first of all, people will check off whether they voluntarily want to be contacted. Okay, if you you can request complete anonymity. You could write your name, Joe Schmo, whatever, You don't need to state where you live, your social security number, your date of birth, no personal information, okay? And then you can select whether you want to be contacted or not. If you do select to be contacted, everybody has left an email. That's the 97%. So then we send you an email to say we would like to be able to interview you. Please contact us, so we could set up the appropriate time for that. Now, in the interview is where you get a lot of the flavor of what took place. Because with these questions, these are forced choice questions. For example, when you talk about what happened during experience, we have like a box that says, what type of entity did you see, for a particular experience. So someone might check, a small gray, during that interview, at the very end of it, we'll be showing them pictures, like 100 different pictures of small grays. So they'll say, well, it had the head like number 46 and the body of number 27. Okay, so and then in the forced choice questions they have, was that experience, mainly positive, mainly negative, both positive and negative, neutral, or I don't know. Now, during the interview, we'll be able to get more specificity. Maybe it was that they checked off, negative because it just scared the living daylights out of them, or we don't know. But during the interview, we can flush out a lot of the responses. And as I said earlier, this has never been done before. Most of the previous academic studies that had been done before were done by psychologists and psychiatrists, mainly to determine whether experiencers are crazy or not. And the vast majority of all of the studies have determined that, no, we're normal just like anybody else. There was also an anthropologist named Kenneth Bullard that did some research on experiencers, but again, from an anthropological perspective. Dr. Kenneth Ring, who is a professor of psychology at Connecticut, just recently retired, he did one of the very few statistical studies, and that was basically a comparative analysis between people that have had near-death experiences and people that have had abductions and ET contact. The works of Dr. John Mack, those were not statistical studies. Those were basically qualitative studies.
Okay, and so just to go back to this one-on-one interview that you're going to do as a follow-up, do these people have confidentiality with that interview, or at that point is it?
Okay, let me explain that process. Yeah. What will happen is individuals will have a number. Okay, they will be assigned a number. The individual doing the interview will not know the name or anything personal about that person.
Okay.
They are instructed not to ask any personal information to identify who they are. The participant, the person that filled out the survey, will also be instructed not to reveal their name, their address, any type of personal information to the person that's doing the interview. Okay? All they will be known by is just a number.
Okay.
Okay, right. And again, if individuals have concerns about anonymity, they have the choice of not stating their name. But even then, we're asking both of them not to reveal anything about themselves during this interview. So it'll be strictly anonymous in terms of who this person is.
And then how do you know? How do you know if some of these people are, hoaxsters?
Okay, well, first of all, they'll have to take a 100-question survey. That'll take like 20 minutes to do.
There's some pretty serious hoaxers out there.
Okay, well, if someone is masquerading out there, you can't prohibit that.
No,
you know,
of course not. But
especially when you're dealing with confidentiality issues, okay? Because you could try to do some background checks on people, but we have no idea who these are. But this is our barrier here. First of all, for someone to hook us, their IP address is going to be blocked, so you can only take the test one time. Okay, that's number one. Secondly, they'll have to dedicate 20 minutes to do the first survey. Okay, the second survey might take an hour and a half. Okay, so these are only people who are very, very committed. Then finally, the interview. This is not going to be a little short 10-minute interview. Okay, if you agree to the interview, this is going to be a rigorous, process to find out in detail all of your experiences. Mm-hmm. So if someone is willing to dedicate, tons of hours for a hoax, what can we do? Okay, but our suspicion is that no one's going to go through all of this time, laborious time, and then they'll be needing to hoax someone who's been in this field for 25 years.
Well, is there any equation? Is there any way to make an estimation as to what percentage might be false?
No, no one can figure that out.
No one can figure that out.
We believe it's going to be almost zero. Would you be willing to do that? Roughly spend at least 10 hours of your time to hoax somebody so you can get one response out of like 5,000?
Absolutely not.
Because we've had almost no publicity, and yet we're almost at 900 with almost no publicity. Imagine when we start after this interview and later on when we start repeating these interviews consistently, we're going to be getting thousands and thousands of individuals. So a little hoaxster is going to get one little sample, okay, out of like 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I ask you, because once this is all completely out in the open and other mainstream scientists, researchers want to look at the data, that's definitely something they're going to be thinking about.
Just like any survey. Someone calls you for a survey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you get these calls all the time. Okay. What would prohibit you from just lying? And yet you're going to be an outlier. You're going to try to say the opposite of what they want. That happens all the time.
Right. Yeah.
But the point is to have a very large sample. That's the key here. To have a very large sample.
Right. And from that sample, how many, do you have an estimate? Can you even speak to that right now? How many specifically relate their intelligence encounter with extraterrestrials, specifically more nuts and bolts sort of experience?
Okay, I don't know what you mean. How many of them can relate to nuts and bolts?
If they can say, no, if they say, they were Greys or reptilians, as opposed to, a more spirit encounter, or maybe they claim it's interdimensional.
Well, we're not asking them to say whether it's interdimensional or whether these ETs live in the ground and stuff like that. That type of information will come out during the interview in terms of if they've been taken to a location. Okay. But right now, what we have, these are the different categories that we have. Okay, we have short gray, which is 3 to 4 feet tall. We have tall gray, which is 5 to 9 feet tall. We have insectoid. We have reptilian. We have human-looking. We have spirit form or ghost-like. We have small animal type non-hairy, small animal type hairy, large animal type non-hairy, large animal type non-hairy. Mm-hmm. We have energy being, and then we have other. And interestingly enough, in some preliminary studies of only about 500 responses, out of those 500 responses, we had 255 people that described having an direct contact with an ET.
Huh, okay. So
roughly half.
You said, what did you say, an energy being?
And one of the categories is energy being.
Energy, what is that?
Well, I had that myself. That was my personal encounter, and I've spoken with numerous individuals that have had that.
Yeah, well, what was that for you then?
Well, what it was let me see if I could describe it. It was sort of rectangular in shape, but it didn't have any external edges because it was pure energy floating in the air. So there was no shapes, hard shapes at the edges. It was floating plasma energy, multicolored, sort of like if you get tons of different colored dyes and you would squirt it in your bathtub and that started moving it around. That's what it looked like. It was semi-translucent. It was pure energy. It was 4 feet from the ground, floating off the ground in the corner wall. And both, and I saw it, and I called it a being because it put me in a hypnotic trance for 15 minutes. And it also cured my dog. My dog the night before was totally paralyzed. We were going to be putting her to sleep that day. And then my wife was praying the whole night. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, when she woke up and I woke up, the dog was barking, because she was able to move from her head up. And we thought that she had recovered, and we noticed that she was still totally paralyzed. So when my wife carried her down the stairs, she encountered this energy object. And then when she freaked out and started calling me, I went down, and then I did not see my wife and my dog when I got down there. It was just a brief second, okay, that I noticed that they weren't there. And all of a sudden, this energy being basically hypnotized me.
And what happened during this hypnotized state?
Okay, let me continue through it. Let me give you the specifics then.
Okay, thanks.
All right, here's the specifics. Here we are. I'm a total atheist material rationalist, okay? I had gone to Cornell for a master's, Berkeley for a Ph.D. I'm also an attorney. I was never into UFOs or ETs, paranormal, none of this stuff. All you guys were kooks, We're nut jobs, okay? And so our dog, who was our dog, who was 16 years old at that time, we were keeping her alive basically through medicine. She was taking various medications, and she was still had a bad heart. She had arthritis. She was limping around, and we just couldn't go around to kill her, to euthanize her. So at about 6 o'clock, we had some friends over, and they noticed that she wasn't moving. She was moving her head, like trying to move, but she just couldn't move. And so we called our vet, and the vet said, look, apparently she had a stroke, from what you're telling me. And what I'll do is I'll open up my shop tomorrow. It was a Sunday the next day, and he was a friend of ours, and we could do a little, and my wife said, I want to do a little ceremony to put her to sleep, because we didn't want to let her suffer in those conditions. And so my wife is a hardcore Catholic, the type that'll do the rosary for 10 hours in a funeral, And I was not. I was obligatory. I had to attend Mass with her. And so she was up all night praying, because that dog really was our first daughter. So in the morning, the dog woke us up. My wife picked her up and moved her around on the floor, noticed that she was still paralyzed, and then carried her down the stairs. And then when she got down the stairs, she saw something different than what I described earlier. What she saw was metallic in color, roughly 2 feet wide by 3 feet in height, looked like an upside-down U.
Upside-down U. Okay.
Upside-down U, metallic silverish in color, that had two green lights in the middle. So when my wife saw that, she immediately started praying, And she said, if you're a bad spirit, get the hell out. If you're an angel or a good spirit or, the Virgin Mary, whatever, then stick around. And the only thing I ask is don't let my dog suffer. Nenita, that means little girl. That's the name of our dog, Nena. And so don't let my Nena suffer. And so immediately when she thought that in her head and was praying, outside of through the side, this white fluorescent light started shooting off. And then the two lights started blinking and sort of like scanning her. Mm-hmm. And at that point, she freaked out. Then she started yelling for me. And I wouldn't come down the stairs. It was Sunday morning, 6 o'clock. I didn't sleep well the night before. And she was like, Ray, Ray, Ray. And I totally ignored her. I thought she had seen a little mouse or a little cockroach or something, And even though I've never seen a mouse or a cockroach in my house, but I thought it was something like that. And she was yelling and yelling. And finally, after a certain period of time, she went upstairs and physically dragged me out of the bed.
Real quick, Ray, I just want to, anyone who else is joining in, we're with Rey Hernandez from F.R.E.E., the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters on Epic Voyages Radio live on IRN. So go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry. I just want to
no problem.
Some people come into the chat room there.
No problem. And then when she was in front of me and I was right behind her, and then when I got down to the bottom of the stairs, like in a split second, I didn't see her or the dog. And instead, I saw in the corner, because she was right next to me the whole time. And all of a sudden, I didn't see her. And then I quickly turned to this object that was floating in the corner wall. And it was this floating plasma entity, which, again, it was sort of like rectangular in shape, like about 2 to 2.5 feet wide by a 1.5 foot in height. And it didn't have any outside edges because it was pure energy, multicolored, semi-translucent. Mm-hmm. And then I did, which was not logical at all, but I looked at it and I actually squinted at it, and then I waved my hand at it and I said, bullshit. Then I turned around, I walked right back up. That's what I did. Okay. All right. And then I walked back up the stairs. I laid in my bed. I put my hands on my chest. I looked straight up at the ceiling for 15 minutes. And I do not recall having any conscious thought for those 15 minutes. I was like hypnotized. Okay. And then all of a sudden, it was like the hypnotist snapped his fingers, like, okay, kid, we're done with your wife. We're done with the dog. Snap out of it, And I woke up and I was like, holy what the hell just happened? And I ran down the stairs. And then, if you could picture this image, okay? My wife was like in a Pentecostal church, waving her hands up and down. Hallelujah, hallelujah, the angels cured her, the angels cured her. And the dog was like a puppy, like shoo, 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 running up and down, all over the living room, jumping up and down. My wife was picking her up, twirling her around, putting her down, and my wife was dancing. Hallelujah, the angels cured her, the angels cured her. And I was like, what the, My mind was.
You said yes.
No, I didn't say therefore. Okay. But that went through my head. It's like a big atomic bomb went off in my head. Like, am I dreaming? Is this for real? Like, that my dream is still happening. So I asked my wife. I said, "What the hell happened?" And she said, "Well, the angels came and they cured her. They cured her." I said, "What are you talking about? I saw this energy thing, multicolored and stuff." She said, "No, that's not what I saw." And then she described what she saw. So then we were comparing notes, and then we were comparing where we saw it. It was in the same exact location. So what I was able to gather was that she saw something which is totally different from what I saw. Then she went upstairs to get me. By the time she had gone down, she apparently herself was in a trance herself, but she wasn't there. Okay, and so she wasn't able to see that floating plasma thing. Okay, and then when I snapped out of it, all of a sudden she's like reappeared downstairs, noticed that the dog was okay and dancing around, and then she was celebrating. But this has all happened like within a 15-minute period. And then immediately afterwards, it was a lot of confusion that took place afterwards, And I was like, that wasn't no angel, That was an energy thing that hypnotized me and it put me to sleep. It must have been some type of ET. She said, no, it's an angel. You're just an atheist. You wouldn't understand, You've always been an atheist and you'll never understand that angels exist, that type of stuff. and immediately I went to the internet, I typed in UFOs, ETs, paranormal, trying to find out what the hell's going on, I think 2 weeks later, I even signed up for MUFON.
Wow. In 2 weeks' time, you signed up for MUFON.
2 weeks' time, because I was trying to get answers, brother. Okay?
Yeah. Anyone would want to get answers after an experience like that.
And also, the internet was pure garbage. Because they were devils, they were angels, then Anunnakis, they were Nephilims, they were reptilians, they were this, they were that. And for someone that's never had any exposure to this, and I'm academically trained, I'm used to going to a place, researching information and getting straight answers, and then during this whole time period, this 6-month period between my own personal experiences, I did a literature review. I studied, what academically has been written about this. And, I went to University of Miami Library, the whole works, okay? And what I found out with almost nothing was been academically written about this. Very, very minimal amount of information. Certainly not a comprehensive statistical academic study on the ET contact phenomenon. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, Ray, we're actually going to take a break in a few minutes. And I just wanted to share with the audience, I'm going to post it in the chat room now, a link to an article that I had written for AlienAxioms, who was on earlier in the show with us. And it breaks down what F.R.E.E. describes as the explanation for how these occurrences take place. So if you want to check that out on AlienAxioms.com, that would be fantastic. And Ray, so when did you actually get to meet, I'm sorry to jump ahead here, but when did you actually get to meet Dr. Mitchell?
Okay. Do we have enough time to explain this story, or do you want to take a break? Or
well, if it's a long story, no. If it's short, yes.
It's a long story.
Long story. Okay. So let's just continue where you left off. We've got a couple minutes left, and we'll see where we're at.
Okay. Then afterwards, my wife began seeing tons of huge UFOs, very close up. Not a little tiny star up in the sky that was moving around, No, very close up. She was actually see windows, colors, the whole works. She also went to Mexico, where she's had about 4 contact experiences. Very close up. One time, 12 of her family members saw a big, gigantic craft descend from the sky, beam a blue light in front of them. Then the blue light descended, and the ship took off. One time in a spiritual retreat that she was on one of the mountains in Mexico City. This is all during a 1-month stay in the summer of 2012. Okay. She saw 3 tall beings dressed in monk's robe, white monk's robe, float one after another. She saw them for about 2 minutes, and then poof, they disappeared. Lots of UFOs appearing to her. And then during the 6-month period between March of 2012, when we had this experience inside the house, to August of 2012, I had no experiences. It was my wife. And she only told me about one of her experiences because she didn't want to add fuel to the fire, because I wanted to get to the bottom of this. What the hell was going on? And every day I was on the internet, 8 hours a day, trying to find out what the hell was going on. Mm-hmm. Until August of 2012, late August of 2012, I was waiting for a friend outside. He was going to be giving me some papers, and it was nighttime, totally cloudy sky, and I had remembered seeing this guy on YouTube that would be calling down these crafts. I think his name was Prophet Yahweh. And he had
Yahweh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, and he had a little camcorder, and during the day he would, bring down these crafts, and it was like a little tiny thing in the sky.
Yeah, so some of the video out there of what he did was phenomenal at the time. It was almost unbelievable.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Well, all of a sudden that popped into my head because I was outside. I was seeing where my wife had seen this huge craft a couple of months before, and it was because she pointed out it was between that tree and that other tree. So it was a huge monster craft. It was like 2 blocks away, and she even described the colors. She said, "Oh, the angels came and visited me last night. It had colors just like the stained glass windows of our church, And what happened was
I'm gonna ask you to pick up the story when we get back. We're gonna be going into a short break. Everybody, hang in there. We are with Rey Hernandez of F.R.E.E., the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, and then we have some chat room questions that I really want to get to in the second half of the show. So if you're out there, also remember to call in to the program as well, and we'll take your calls a little bit later. And once again, I am Alan Smith. I am your host for Epic Voyages Radio, and also I encourage you to visit the epicvoyages.com.
You're listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Are you looking for a cure for boredom? Never worry. IRN's new interactive website introduces a number of ways to pass time while you listen to your favorite show. Choose anything from the IRN Chat Lounge, the Game Lounge, Video Lounge, or the Mood Lounge. These fun, exciting features let you chat in real time with fellow listeners, view live skywatches, play daily posted online games, or pick a show based on topic. The choices are endless. Use your time wisely, keeping it all on IRN.
Hi, can you hear my voice? Imagine how many other people can hear it too. If you have advertising needs, then look no further. The Inception Radio Network currently has openings for on-air advertisements and radio show sponsorships. Given any thought to your target demographic? Inception has you covered there too. Advertising on a network gives you multiple opportunities to advertise on a wide variety of radio show broadcasts, and we have one to fit every advertising need. You know, in recent years, internet radio has exhibited a phenomenal listener growth. An Arbitron Edison survey shows that online radio boosts at least 33 million unique visitors each week and 54 million each month. And that number amazingly continues to grow. And these listeners are a part of many businesses' core demographics. And surveys have shown that internet radio listeners are far more likely than regular radio listeners to spend money on a whole range of activities. You know, internet listeners vote, they dine out and eat fast food, and they grab a cup of coffee. And here's the interesting one. They buy items online at a much higher rate than all other market segments combined. Internet radio also enables businesses to connect with consumers during work hours, where increasingly more lifestyle decisions are being made. Advertise with the best. The Inception Radio Network offers competitive advertising rates to fit just about anyone's advertising budget. Stop by today at www.inceptionradionetwork.com or call us toll-free at 1-888-919-2355. Get the word out. Get results with the Inception Radio Network.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Remember, you can take your Inception Radio shows on the go. Just download the Inception Radio Network app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android smartphones and access live shows, past shows, guest lineups, and much more. Just visit the iTunes Store or the Google Play Marketplace and download it today for free. Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Just a reminder that Inception Radio Network is on Twitter. Follow us at I_R_N and keep up to date about who's on tonight, what interviews they'll be doing, who's guest spotting, what topics they'll be covering. Tweet to us, tweet about us, retweet topics to your friends, and most importantly, never miss a great show again. That's I_R_N.
EPIC is Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council, the forum for scholars, experts, and those fascinated by and involved in the study of ancient civilizations, conspiracies, cryptozoology, ETs, and UFOs, fringe science, the paranormal, and all manner of extraordinary phenomena. Please join EPIC as we examine the mysteries of the world and beyond on epicvoyagers.com. And for updates on the upcoming interactive video presentations, the latest news and discussion on the EPIC forum, as well as research, investigations, and membership opportunities.
Epic Voyages program schedule is on the Inception Radio Network. Thank you for joining us.
Like the man
to Epic Voyages Radio Live on the Inception Radio Network. Also rebroadcast Fridays on Dark Matter Radio Network at 8 p.m. I am glad that we're all back here to continue with Rey Hernandez from F.R.E.E. We were getting a little bit into Rey's personal story, so we want to get through that, wrap that up, and then hopefully take some of your chat questions and really get into the core of some of the work that F.R.E.E. has done. So, Rey, can you pick us up where you left us off?
Okay. Time is of the essence. We only have an hour. So I'll try to skip over a lot of my personal experiences. Basically, my daughter my daughter was 10 years old, and 3 friends, these are 2 adults and their 17-year-old daughter, saw a huge football stadium-sized craft that was literally parked on top of our neighbor's house. And that was a result of me calling the craft down. I was fooling around. I was playing. I had no true intentions of calling this craft. I just see this guy's video, prophet video, Yahweh's video, and I said, the hell with it. Let me just try it out. My daughter and I saw it for about 45 minutes. It was 30 feet away from us. Then after that, for 4 months straight, these ETs pretty much forced me to do nothing except read books on near-death experiences and the physics and science of consciousness studies. I did not do much work. I had no TV. I did not go to the internet. I did nothing else except 12 to 18 hours a day. That's all I read. I must have read 500 books on that topic. These were all used books that I ordered from Amazon. I would order like 40 at a time until the very first 3 people that I ever asked about NDEs. Okay, I've never even mentioned NDEs to anyone. The very first 3 people, 4 months later, this is in December of 2012, December 21st, 2012, the 22nd, and the 23rd. All 3 of these individuals on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all had NDEs. Okay, and then each of them told me their extensive near-death experiences where they floated out of their body. They visually saw exactly what took place. They saw the doctors, the nurse, the paramedics, the conversations, everything. And then let me skip another 5 months later. I had a download where I saw a visual image at the same time. And then that same day that I got that huge download of information, I call it my ET telegram, Mary Rodwell sends me an email, and she said, "Dear Rey, I'm sorry I'm responding from your email 6 months ago, but it just popped up on my screen." And what I had done, I had sent her an email of the plasma energy being that was inside our living room and the huge craft that my daughter and I and the 3 friends saw. I didn't tell her about the near-death experience component of it. So I then responded to her and I said, well, this is what happened to me afterwards, which is this whole near-death experience aspect to it. And just today, I got this huge ET telegram with a big vision that I was inside a spinning wheel with all paranormal phenomenon floating around me. And then we got on a Skype call. And then I asked her, I said, Mary, how often do you go back, to check your emails? Do you go back 6 months to check your emails? Why did that occur? Why did this email from 6 months ago just pop up on your screen?
Pop up, yeah.
Yeah, and so she finally started laughing. She says, Rey, by now you don't know what happened. You ought to know what happened, okay? Yep. So during that same conversation, she also told me that she had been invited up to the States to give a lecture and to participate in a workshop that was sponsored by the John Mack Institute. And there she met this Harvard physics professor called Dr. Rudy Shields. And he had been a close confidant of Dr. John Mack. He had taught Dr. Mack all about quantum physics and how quantum physics can explain a lot of the paranormal and ET contact phenomenon. And so, I listened to Mary and we agreed to continue our discussions later on. The very next morning at 9:30 in the morning, Rudy gives me a call. I didn't even know who this guy was. And then for the next 90 minutes, he's spoon-feeding me quantum physics and how quantum physics can explain all the paranormal phenomena, including a lot of the aspects of ET contact. At the end of it all, he said, Rey, these ETs gave you a very specific instructions of what needed to be done. And I said, well, they did give me instructions. Okay. And I won't go into the details now. He says, you need to listen to them and you need to follow through on them. And he says, I will be here to back you up and to assist you in whatever you need. I will be your scientific advisor. And if you're going to be forming an organization, and at that point, I hadn't even thought about forming an organization. It was Rudy that instructed me to do that. He says, I will be your initial member of your board. It says, as a matter of fact, my mentor, that's Dr. Rudy Shields' mentor, he said is Dr. Edgar Mitchell, and take down his telephone number. And he gave me his telephone number, and he told me to contact him. And I already knew who Edgar was because he's pretty much the father of modern scientific consciousness studies. He had been the founder of the Institute of Noetic Studies, and he had been primarily one of the founders of the Stanford Research Institute. But he's most well known for the Institute for Noetic Sciences, where they conducted a series of studies on telepathy and on consciousness from a scientific perspective. And then he began to develop numerous articles on the physics of consciousness. Eventually, a couple of hours later, I managed to work up the nerve to give him a call. And then he told me basically he was expecting me because Rudy had already talked to him about me, and he invited me to his house. I spent about 5 hours in his house. At the end of it all, he told me the same thing. After telling me all about Roswell, all about the other astronauts, what they had told him, tons of intimate details. This is a man from I never even knew before. Okay. At the end of it all, he says, Ray, you need to follow what these ETs told you. And just like Rudy, we're here to support you and to guide you and to help you. And we'll be your scientific advisors for whatever you undertake. And I also encourage you to start an organization. So that night when I got home, I emailed Mary, and Christina Knowles, who's the only other experiencer that I had been speaking with up to that point. And the three of us got on Skype, and I said, you won't believe what the hell just happened over the last 2 days. And I told them what these two geniuses had told me. And then I said, we need to start an organization. I don't know what the hell we're going to be doing, but we need to do it. And then 2 days later, Mary came up with the name F.R.E.E., the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. And then the five of us became co-founders, which is Dr. Edgar Mitchell, Dr. Rudy Shields, Mary Rodwell, Christina Knowles, and myself. And that's
so
how.
Really, are you the core of F.R.E.E. itself? I mean, are you the most active members now, or?
We've expanded since then. Edgar Mitchell is more like a consultant. He's 85 years old. I try not to bother him too much. I've been to his house about 7 times in the last year and a half. The last time was this past Monday.
You flew out there to film something, right? I think.
No. He lives in Lake Worth.
Oh, okay.
Lake Worth, Florida. He's 90 minutes away. Oh, and nice. We had an interview. We had a joint interview with Dr. Rudy Shields and Edgar Mitchell. The interview host was Ralph Steiner, who himself is a physicist and experiencer. And the topic of conversation was the quantum hologram, consciousness, and ET contact. And there was roughly 2.5 hours of film and audio to try to get at the science and physics of what is consciousness so the layperson can understand it and how that in turn relates to the ET contact phenomenon. And it was extremely...
So that brings us up to date now.
Yes.
I just want to get to a question from Cruzy from the chat room. The question is, what does his research see as being the number one attribute associated with experiencers? The number one attribute?
Well, there really is no number one attribute. There are many different findings. We have, as I said, the first phase 1 is 100 questions. So we have responses to these 100 questions. And then the phase 2 is going to be, as I said, 500 questions. But, for example, the number one attribute that sort of that struck me is the same one that struck Grant Cameron. Have you heard of Grant Cameron before?
I don't recall right now, no.
Okay. He's done studies for the last, I believe, 25 years on the presidential libraries. He's gone into the Johnson Library, the Nixon Library, Kennedy, Eisenhower, and he's done research on what has been known about ET contact. very well known in the field. Let me put it to you this way. And he said his number one topic that piqued his interest was this question. Let me read the question to you. And again, I don't want to really reveal a lot of the data, because if there are other people that are still out there, I don't want to guide them to answer in a certain direction. But let me just give you this response. The question: do you believe that you possess information about advanced technology, advanced physics, or other scientific information that you've never read or learned in your normal environment? Okay. Out of those, 431 people answered that questions, and this is out about 507 individuals. Okay. So 431 out of those that answered, roughly 44% said yes. Yes, they do possess information about advanced technology, advanced physics, or other scientific information that they have never read about or have learned in their normal environment. Okay?
All right.
And that goes in place with a lot of transformational issues. People that were atheists are all of a sudden spiritually inclined. People that are hunters all of a sudden don't even want to kill a bug. Okay?
Right.
People that were bankers, all they thought about was money, 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 money. All of a sudden, they have no concern about material wealth. Okay.
Well, actually, this actually makes me think about my last interview with Ted Peters. He studied the UFO phenomena from the sort of religious point of view. So there's obviously this ongoing correlation between religious type experiences and UFO encounter, alien encounter experiences.
Well, that's the study by Dr. Kenneth Ring in a book called The Omega Project. Mm-hmm. He compared individuals that had NDEs, near-death experiences, with individuals that have had abduction type of experiences. Now, that's just one component of it in terms of the transformation aspect of it. We also ask people questions in terms of whether they've seen a UFO, whether they've been on a craft, have they seen specific beings, do they think that these beings are mainly positive, mainly negative, equally positive and negative, neutral, et cetera, et cetera. We also ask those types of questions.
Well, I have a question here actually from the chat room from Neutron. Ray, have any of abductees abducted multiple times ever claimed to have an OBE during an abductions where they saw their own body on a table below them as they watched?
Okay, first of all, let me backtrack again. Our study is not an abduction study. Okay, abductions is one component of people that have had ET contact.
Right, but has that been a part of any of the discussion at all with any people that you've surveyed?
We have a lot of specific questions in there in phase 2 in terms of whether they've ever perceived to have been on a table, whether they've had medical procedures done on them, that type of questions. We also have questions about out-of-body experiences, whether they've had out-of-body experiences, and to clarify the specifics of these out-of-body experiences. But in terms of someone having this type of medical procedure done on them on a table and then floating out of the body, that specific question has not been asked. However, in the interviews, that's where this type of information will come from.
So generally speaking right now, Ray, what can you share from the statistics that you've gained so far? Is there anything you can share right now?
Well, there's a lot of responses here that were not expected. For example, there's certain type of ET groups that everyone associated them as mainly evil, mainly bad. Okay, I won't tell you which groups they are, but it's more than one group is perceived as mainly, more than one group has been perceived as mainly negative. Okay, our studies do not, result in that. Okay, I won't give you the groups and I won't give you the numbers. So that's just a little sliver of what this data can provide you, because this is not data of people speculating on the internet. These are individuals that have had these experiences and they're responding to the best of their abilities. Now, here's another thing that's very, very important. Okay, this is based upon conscious memories, and I want to repeat that again. This is based upon conscious memories, not hypnotic regression. Okay, So we knew that we were going to be attacked. These people are using hypnotic regression to get their data. No, we're not. Okay, this is we even asked specifically the individuals, please answer this question only if you consciously recall them, and it specifically states not through hypnotic regression.
Okay, and so how do you distinguish then a dream experience? I mean, people can confuse dreams with reality, right?
No, dreams are not included. We're not asking people to state dreams.
Okay, so as far as the people are concerned, there's no chance that what they experienced was a dream or, nighttime paralysis or something like that.
We're only conscious memories.
Conscious memories.
Clear conscious memories. Now, in the interviews, that's where we begin to pry and to poke about these other areas. We're not neglecting them. Okay.
And
but we know that these studies can be critiqued. These people, they asked a question whether it was a dream or not. How do you know if it was dream or it was reality? So we try to avoid any potential pitfalls that we can be critiqued. However, in the interviews, that's when we'll be getting at these other aspects in terms of lucid dreaming and whether this was real or not. That comes at the interview stage.
Well, last show I went over some things from MUFON and New Fork. Statistically, it seems that the higher number of experiences per year correlates with higher populated cities. Is that something that you guys look at in your study as well?
Well,
city or state.
The closest that we're getting into is a zip code. Okay. And roughly half of the people put in a zip code because it's not mandatory, because a lot of people might get scared off by putting a zip code. We only put that in there if people are willing to put it in a zip code, but it's not mandatory. That our focus is not really. Yes.
What percentage of people actually put in the zip code? Do you have any idea?
I know it wasn't the majority of them.
Okay.
We have a state. Most of the people did put a state.
Okay, and then what did you get?
They were comfortable with that.
Were there anything in particular, any states that really stood out?
No, not really. It looked like a cross tabulation of the states. What is interesting is that 40% of our data has come from outside of the United States.
Outside of the United States.
Outside the United States. Okay. So this survey is in English, and we have plans now, very shortly, within the next 3 to 4 months, to put it out in Spanish and in French.
Okay. So, and this is without any promotion, really, up until recently.
Correct. Very minimal promotion.
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty legit. So, what then can you share that would, at first hearing it, stand out? That people could say, this is something F.R.E.E. has discovered, a revelation that they've discovered that is different than any other research studies of any sort.
Well, as I told you, how certain species are being reported.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't want to tell you specifically because, I don't want to prejudge any of the people that are taking the survey. But that's one area. The other area is the blood type. There's this theory that's out there, this hypothesis that's out there, that it's mainly people that are being having ET contact is Rh negative. Okay, or at least that's being presented out on the internet, and our survey has found out that that's not the case.
Okay.
Okay. So, and there's numerous other types of findings very similar to that. A lot of information has not been expected.
Well, so of all these people then that go on online and take the survey, how many of them have had this experience by themselves, and how many have had a witness to go to corroborate that?
Let me go through some of these data.
Sure.
We have again, this is about 500 individuals when this data I'm taking it from. Now we have 800 and almost 70 now, because by the hour people are taking this thing. So when we had 500 questions, we had 459 people that answered this one. Okay. Have you seen an intelligently controlled craft in the sky or on the ground that was not man-made? Okay. 80% said yes, that they have seen a UFO.
Okay.
Okay. Now, did other witnesses also see the UFO craft? 65% said yes.
65. That's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We have if this crash was seen on the ground, how close was it? Okay. And again, many people have seen 72 people out of 242 that answered this. Okay. 242 that saw a craft on the ground. 72, which was almost 30%, saw it less than 100 feet away from them.
Okay. And what about in the air?
I would have to look that data up.
Okay.
Okay. Now here's another question.
One would assume that you would see more craft in the air.
Yeah. It was as I said, it's 400 and something people. What was the number that I said? 80% out of 459.
Yeah.
Now here's another question. Do you believe that you have observed a non-human intelligent entity? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 435 people that answered it, 60.5% said yes.
60.5%.
Yeah, roughly 263, which is a little bit over half. Much more than half, 60%.
So do some of these people actually have both out-of-body experiences and ET encounter experiences as separate experiences?
We could see, here's the great thing about our study. We could do those type of cross-tabulations. We could say, bring up all the people that have had out-of-body experiences, bring all the people that have had ET contact experiences, and you could make the match. Okay? We could even associate them by the type of ET types that they've experienced. See, that's the power of this, that you can mix and match. Okay? Out of this group, how many fall into this category?
Right.
So we'll be able to make for the first time these types of hypotheses and testing these hypotheses. Near-death experiences, that's another thing we want to test out. Okay, most of the members in our group have a hypothesis that near-death experiences is associated with ET contact. We don't know exactly how, okay, but we believe, that's our hypothesis, that there is that relationship there. We'll be able to begin testing out some of these hypotheses.
Yeah, well, that's what makes the quantum hologram theory really fascinating, because that's your way at F.R.E.E. of really tying all these things together, correct?
Yeah, the F.R.E.E. has a separate physics group. We have 5 theoretical physicists. Mm-hmm. Again, these are all these, physics genius types. And we have 2 more that are coming on board, okay? And all of them are adherents to the quantum hologram theory of physics and its explanation of what is consciousness.
Okay, well, we'll leave the explanation. We're going to take one more quick break, and then when we come back, Ray can help explain the quantum hologram theory and how that brings everything together. Again, we are with Rey Hernandez from F.R.E.E., the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. They're on the precipice of releasing ever more information about their studies. This is Alan Smith with Epic Voyages.
Listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Hello, Inception Radio Network. Would you like your favorite show to be played again live on air? Well, now the choice is in your hands with IRN's live request portal, an easy way to request your favorite show with a simple click. IRN's live request portal now gives you exclusive access to all the shows. How easy is it? Simply type a show name or a guest name, click request, even write a dedication message, and that's it. Try it now. Simply visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com, click on the live request tab under the show menu. Now playing your favorite show is just a mouse click away.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Looking for a cure for boredom? Never worry. IRN's interactive website introduces a number of ways to pass time while you listen to your favorite show. Choose anything from the IRN Chat Lounge, Game Lounge, Video Lounge, or the Mood Lounge. These fun, exciting features let you chat in real time with fellow listeners, view live skywatches, play daily posted online games, or pick a show based on topic. The choices are endless, so use your time wisely by keeping it all on IRN.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Howdy, this is Joe Mars. I'm inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com. That's EPICVOYAGERS.com.
Live on IRN. I don't think I mentioned it before, but if you want to check Epic Voyager's channel on YouTube, I highly suggest that you go ahead and Google Epic Voyager's YouTube. They have a slew of great material, including a lot of talks by Jim Mars, which I really found fascinating. And also before I get back to Ray, I forgot to mention in the last break, the song that you heard, Take Me From the Darkness, is actually from a friend of mine, Nathan Daniels. And I put a link to his song in the chat room, and he can be found at Velvet Invasion Sound on SoundCloud. So that's that. So Ray, I just want to ask one question to Neutron from the chat room, and then we'll continue on with your story. Okay. So he said, have you had a chance to read any of the 10 years of research by Italy's Dr. Corrado Malanga?
Yes, I've read some of it.
Yeah. Okay. And what did you take away from that?
Well, there are lots of researchers out there. Each of them have their own viewpoints and perspectives. And F.R.E.E. maintains a neutral viewpoint as to what is the ET agenda. We are a scientific research organization, and we don't view them as evil or benevolent or malevolent. We're here to try to find out more information about what's going on. And he's has a lot of years of studies and information, just like the members of our group. So we respect his work.
So I think what I'm really hearing tonight is that you are really adhering strictly to the scientific method with F.R.E.E.'s research. Is that correct? I mean, being as neutral as possible.
Yeah, we're totally neutral. We have no position whatsoever. Individuals might have their own individual perspectives, but we do have some diversity in F.R.E.E. in terms of how people see these things.
And then you also you've had the people that are involved, the members, peer reviewing the work itself. But then I know at some point you wanted to bring some outside scientists or researchers to look at this material as well, to sort of further validate what you've done, right?
Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have several of our professors that are going to be writing an academic paper that we hope to publish in a peer-reviewed academic journal. Now, the problem we're going to be facing is, where in the hell do you publish this? Okay? I mean, is Science or Nature going to be publishing this? Or even willing to review it?
No, but it could be a sociological thing, I would think, right?
Well, it's never been done before, and this is not a common topic area that a lot of these mainstream publications would be willing to take a look at us. But we're going to try. Okay?
Well, look, I think you're doing the right thing anyway, and I think you'll get the backing and support of like the thousands of listeners, that are tuning into IRN and other programs that you go on, or wherever you are bringing this material to. I think that if you chip away at it, you'll definitely get some exposure to mainstream media, and once you hit that first vein, that might be just enough to gain the right attention from the right people.
Yeah, we're trying to expose this to the real world, that this phenomenon is for real. That there's actually millions of experiences that are out there, but yet no one's talking about it. And hopefully that could be a good transition to some of the projects that we're dealing with in F.R.E.E.
All right, and I'm just going to give everybody the call-in line in a few minutes if you want to call. It is 888-919-2355. It's 888-919-BELL. Before we take your calls, I know, Ray, there was a couple of points that you felt like you needed to make tonight, right?
Well, F.R.E.E. is not just a research study. That's just one out of 11 programs that we're undertaking. And if I could go through them fairly quickly, and then we could focus on them. We have an Experiencer Buddy program. Anyone out there that has had experiences and wants to talk to someone, an experiencer, mature individual that's had many years of these types of experiences, where you just want to chat, talk to someone, send us an email. Our email is F.R.E.E. at experiencer.co. Once again, our email is F.R.E.E. at experiencer.co, and put in the attention line a buddy program, and then tell us how to contact you, and we'll get someone to speak with you and to work with you and to assist you. We also have a radio show that's going to be starting in about a month from now on KGRA Radio. The host is one of our physicists, Ralph Steiner, and it's a show basically mixing science and physics and consciousness with ET contact. Okay? And that'll be launched in about a month from now. We're also developing a therapist support list. And in this list is going to be, by state and by country, a list of licensed mental health therapists, regression therapists, and local support groups. Again, we're going to be vetting these individuals, and these are individuals that have a history, a track record of working with experiencers.
I think this is a really great thing that you're doing, because some people might just come to your website because they feel they need to share the experience, but once they're there, if they realize there's actually support for them, you actually may be helping to change people's lives for the better in that process.
Yes, we have many programs regarding the support aspects. Another aspect is Experiencer Liberation Day. We're going to be starting a liberation movement for experiencers to come out of the closet, to stop being ashamed, to stop being rejected. 1/3 of the people out of the 128 people that we've helped with the buddies, 1/3 of them have never spoken with anyone in their lives except their spouse, or maybe one or two close family members. Okay? And we want to stop that. We want to be able to make it feel like they can come out of the closet, talk about these experiences, and not be ostracized by society, by their family, their friends, their work, etc.
Well, so earlier you were making the correlation between the LGBT movement and how they needed to come out and in a sense allow society to see who they are. That's how you get accepted, right?
Correct. Our goal is to have the same movement, just as the lesbian gay liberation movement, which is a movement to come out of the closet, and that only comes by exposing this. Again, if you want to find more information about that, just send us an information to the email that I sent before, free@experiencer.com. We also have an Experiencer support community forum. It's called Stellar Packs. And it's a forum where you can freely communicate with other experiencers. Where you'll not be judged, and where you can learn and share from each other. And it's recently developed, and go to our free website. So that's free. Our free website is experiencer.co. We're also undertaking out of the closet videos, out of the closet experiencer videos. The goal is to have thousands and thousands of very short 3 to 5 minute videos from numerous sectors of society, and it'll go something like this. Again, this is only 3 to 5 minutes. Hello, my name is Rey Hernandez. I'm an estate tax attorney with the IRS. I live in Miami, Florida. I have 3 children, and I'm married. Now, let me tell you that I'm also an experiencer of ET contact. I feel that it's extremely important for individuals to, quote unquote, come out of the closet and inform society that there are literally millions of people like myself out there, individuals that have had ET contact. Now, let me tell you very briefly about my contact experiences. So what would happen if we had, hundreds of doctors, hundreds of lawyers, academics, firemen, police officers, et cetera, on our website with these little short videos? It'll be a revolution, okay? It'll be disclosure, public disclosure of what's going on. We're also going to undertaking educational workshop videos where we're going to be videotaping members of our board discussing various topics. Like, for example, we have all these physicists. They could easily discuss what is consciousness, have 3 or 4 sessions of what is consciousness. We have 6 PhD psychologists. They could be talking about support for individuals that have had ET contact. Okay, so these are just examples of the workshops that we're going to be videotaping and putting it on our free website for free with no charge. Educational workshops.
It's interesting you said disclosure because in contrast to the disclosure projects, this is not, hey, we're military or we're policemen or we're officials and we've seen these things. We've been told not to share this information. That's great in itself, but this, it's personal, it's very emotional for so many of these people. So this is a new kind of disclosure that has definitely not been done before in the way that you guys are doing it, and I think it's absolutely commendable.
It's called grassroots disclosure. As I said earlier, what would happen if you had 5,000 videos on our website from all sectors of society talking about their ET contact experience? Okay?
Yeah, there's so many people that. Yeah, there's just so many people that keep this stuff suppressed, and and yet there are outlets for them and there are therapists out there. But I think just like may not the best example, but I firmly believe that when the show Will and Grace came out, it exposed the public to gay men, gay people, gay relationships, and you know what? People adjusted. People acclimated. People started accepting it,
That's a good segue to the next 2 areas that we're working on, okay? One is there are numerous UFO conferences out there, okay? We want to do an experiencer conference organized by all of the leading experiencer organizations around the world, okay? We're in contact with all of them. They're all behind this, okay? They're all behind this. So we're going to get this thing done. We're shooting for 2017, in the summer of 2017, to have the first international experiencer conference. Okay. And we're going to be bringing in people from all over the world. And again, bringing in the scientists, the physics, the academics, together with all the researchers together.
Do you have an idea where that conference will be yet? Or is
we're shooting for Orlando, Florida, in the summer of 2017. So we've got 2.5 years to work on this.
Hopefully we can make it down there for that. That'd be fantastic.
Yep. Yeah. Now, the TV show, okay? We have a proposal now, and we're developing a sizzler reel, okay? To have a sizzler reel for a 1-hour TV show. Just like MUFON Presents, their base cases, okay? We're going to have Free Presents Awakening to Contact. Free Presents Awakening to Contact. We're going to be getting individuals that want to publicly reveal their experiences. Okay. Mm-hmm. For example, okay, like in my case, here I am, an attorney. We have 2 doctors that are willing, to possibly go public. We have several individuals that are PhD psychologists, and another professional retiree from a federal government. Okay, this is a family, husband and wife. They're both, 69 and 70 years old, highly credible people. So, and their whole family have had experiences. So, in the first year of the show, we'll have the people that society perceives that are credible, even though the regular factory worker or the person that works in, a fast food shop is also credible as well. But society perceives the doctors, the academics as credible. So that's how we're targeting the first year. We're making a sizzler reel where we're bringing an experiencer, then we're bringing our physicists. The physicists are going to be discussing the science of what is taking place, the physics of what is taking place. Like, say, for example, the person experiencer states, I saw a gray or a light being go right through the wall. Well, the physicists will then chime in there, Dr. Rudy Shields, Dr. Edgar Mitchell. Well, physics explains that, and this is how it explains it. Okay, then we'll be bringing in some of our heavyweights like Mary Rodwell, Kathleen Marden, Barbara Lamb, Whitley Strieber, people like that are on our committee that are explaining, well, in the last 25 years of me researching this, I've had at least 200 people that described a being going through a wall or going through a window. And then our research study. Our statistics will bring in the statistics from our research study, where we specifically ask, have you ever seen a non-human intelligent being go through a wall or through a window? Okay? And it might be, 35% have it. So what we're doing is, in this TV show, is bringing an experiencer, treating the experiencer with credibility and dignity, not the alien hunter, stuff like that, type of shows where
there's no exploitation.
There's no exploitation of the experiencer, okay? We want to bring the scientists, the physicists, the academics to bring the scientific credibility. We want to bring all the people that have been working with experiencers for many, many years. Yvonne Smith, for example, has just joined us from Los Angeles. Get those people to talk about their experience, working with experiencers, to back up what the experiencer is stating. And then we'll get the data from our statistical study. Okay, so we're going to have the best cases that are out there. Again, this is with individuals that are willing to go public. I
have to ask, besides the content itself, I was recently talking to someone who was telling me their story about shopping a sizzle reel around. And basically at the end of it, they had told this person, look, you need younger, fresher, hotter people. And I just think that so many of these shows, they want some kind of flash, some jewel of entertainment value.
Yeah, this is not for entertainment.
Content. Yeah.
We won't do it. We won't do it. If we cannot control it, we will not do it. Because that's the problem. Because
you'll stick to your guns. You'll stick to your guns if that happens.
Of course, 110%. This is not a reality show. This is not, for pure entertainment here. Okay? Mm-hmm. This is strict science. And it's real. It's reality. You're dealing with real people. This is not bullshit anymore. The times of playing games has stopped. Okay, we're dealing with reality. Yeah. We're dealing with real people that have been hiding in the closet for all those years. No one knows about this. Why? Because no one talks about it. And we're going to be bringing science and credibility and dignity to this process.
All right. And before you wanted to add something else, can you briefly just sum up for us what the quantum hologram theory is?
Okay, yeah, very briefly. We have 5 theoretical physicists on F.R.E.E., and all of them are adherents to this theory of physics called the quantum hologram theory of physics. Basically, it's a theory that we live in a multiverse, in a multidimensional reality, that there are many worlds, that there are many spirit worlds. There are many dimensions, and that consciousness is basically let me see how to explain it in a very short, cryptic way. Consciousness is, if you could picture like a spirit world. When you die, your body doesn't. You as who you are does not die. because you are actually spirit. Okay, so consciousness is how all these interactions are taking place with all these beings in these multidimensional realities and your spirit form. Okay, it presents a hypothesis, a theory of how telepathy can take place. Like Edgar Mitchell, he was on the moon and he was doing a telepathy study with a whole bunch of people that were on Earth. And guess what? The studies resulted that it was statistically relevant, what he did. So one is able to read someone's mind if one is on the moon and someone is on Earth. Okay, that consciousness, which is basically the ability to come out of your body and be able to communicate with other entities, with the spirit world, through either shamanic experiences, through near-death experiences, through remote viewing, through out-of-body experiences, through mystical meditation. These are all mechanisms, through lucid dreaming, all mechanisms where individuals have had contact with non-human intelligent beings. How does it work?
You keep saying non-human intelligent beings. Neutron had made a really good point. I thought about this myself. The title of the organization is Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. So, but when you're talking here, you're differentiating these entities' intelligences from that, or?
See, well, the thing is that there's no set standard acronym for describing what we're dealing with. Okay, a lot of people say, "Oh, you picked ET, that means they're." Extra-dimensional in terms of interdimensional, or even underground, or in other realities. No. I mean, everyone is just hypothesizing here. Okay, what we're dealing with here is an intelligent being that's not human. That's the simple term here. Okay.
So in a sense, the title "Free" is basically saying what? That these are non-Earthlings.
Non-human intelligent beings. We use the word ET, and in all of our documentations, we're saying ET. We're defining ET as a non-human intelligent being. It's just so people don't get mixed up, in terms of interdimensional, extra-dimensional, all of this stuff. No, we're not playing that type of stuff, okay? Because no one knows. You don't know. No one else knows. These physicists have a hypothesis that these intelligent beings have a physical reality as well as a conscious reality, just like you yourself have your physical reality of your physical body, but you also have a spirit, a soul, which is just as equally alive. Okay, so that's where they're coming from. That hypothesis is that some of these entities might have physical manifestation, but also might have conscious manifestations. Like for example, with the near-death experiences, people that describe their experiences, they describe them even more vivid than you and I talking right now. Okay?
Right.
But yet they're having conversation with a conscious sentient being that's not human.
Yeah. Great. We have just a few minutes left, and this night has just gone by way too fast. We'll have to get together again sometime. But is there any one last point that you really feel like you need to get in there before we sign off?
We need volunteers. Okay. We're going to be doing this major conference. Okay, it's 2 years down the road. We're working on this experiencer movement. Okay, a experiencer liberation movement, where we're trying to organize most of the major organizations worldwide that are working with experiencers. We've gotten commitment from them, but we need people on the ground, boots on the ground, to make phone calls, to send emails, to organize different chapter groups, organize support groups throughout the U.S. There's tons of work that needs to be done. We need all the help that we can get. Please come and volunteer for us. No one gets paid out of F.R.E.E. This is all volunteers. And once again, send an email to F.R.E.E., that's F.R.E.E., at experiencer.co. That's F.R.E.E. at experiencer.co. And our website is experiencer.co.
Experiencer.co.
Yeah, not com, but
not com. No. Okay, great. And I put that link in the chat room, and I'll do so again for everybody who's hanging out there still. Thanks for hanging out there still. And Ray, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really look forward to more information coming out from F.R.E.E in the future, and it really sounds like you guys are trying to be as legit as possible, and that's absolutely commendable, and I thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. As I said before, we are non-for-profit, doing scientific research and also supporting experiencers at the same time. And we have 3 missions. It's education, by all the articles that we have in our website. We have numerous articles in our website. And I said we have 16 articles just on physics and consciousness. We have many experiencer stories. We have support. And by support, we have the community forum called Stellar Packs. We have the Experiencer Buddy program. In a 4-month period, we have helped out 128 experiencers to chat with other fellow experiencers. We have this radio show where we're going to be talking about the science and physics of ET contact, so people can be educated about the science involved in this. We have this therapist support list, which we're in the process of unveiling in about a month. We're going to be starting the Experiential Liberation Day, which is October 1st of each year. We have the Out of the Closet Experiencer videos, which
you guys have absolutely got your plate full.
Yep.
It's amazing.
A lot of things.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope we get to talk soon again. And I wish you the best with F.R.E.E.
Thank you very much. And Ralph Steiner will come on as a guest later on to talk about the science and physics of ET contact.
That'd be great. Have Ralph email me or call me either way. That'd be fantastic, man.
Most definitely. And thank you, audience members out there.
All right, take care, Ray. So I just want to remind everybody again to visit Epic pages, that of which are the Epic homepage, epicvoyagers.com, or you can go to Twitter at Epic Voyagers, and then you can also go to the Epic YouTube page, which has an amazing number of videos that I'm sure every one of you will absolutely love. And for myself, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at ALANSNYC, at AlienAxioms. I just want to thank again Dr. Laura Blythe, Ken Cherry for having me on the show and guest hosting. I really appreciate all of you having me a part of the show, and everybody in the chat room. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And next time that I'll be hosting will be April 6th. Again, we'll have AlienAxioms.com members as our guest for 2 hours, and we'll go through as much UFO, ufology, paranormal news as we can within those 2 hours. Otherwise, I think that this has been a fantastic night, and I will hopefully see you all again in the future. So thanks again to everybody at Epic and IRN.
Thank you for being with us tonight. Please join us again next Monday evening for Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council's Epic Voyages. I'm Roger Peacock for Epic. Until next time.
You say too much to learn. You say cover up is fine. That your plan